Hello, welcome to my podcast, Extraordinary with Neman. My name is Nemanja Golubovic, and you might be wondering, why did you name the podcast with Neman? That's my nickname. I love it. It's also my stage name. It's also my American name. Easier for people to pronounce. Don't feel bad and say, I want to learn your real name. That's totally fine. I love them both. And I just think for the easier pronunciation, we're going to go with Extraordinary with Neman. And I told you my government name. And I'm pointing that out because my today's guest sometimes doesn't like to share her government name, and we will talk about it. So I will introduce her as Plant-Based Tamika, known to hundreds of thousands of people that way. But we will ask her if she would be willing to share the government name. Hello, Tamika.
Hello, Neman.
Hi.
Hi.
Would you like to introduce yourself by your government name, or should we just stick to the Plant-Based Tamika?
You know what? I like Plant-Based Tamika. My government name is Tamika Price. I just have had so many lives. That's all I'm saying. Mm-hmm. I think Plant-Based Tamika is good for this.
Oh, okay. So is that a current life that you're living?
Yes, absolutely.
Perfect. Well, we will get to that current life. Well, we're going to go way back. I know. And discuss some of your past lives, okay? Maybe the first life that you remember, like you as a child. Just tell me a little bit about your childhood. Like where were you born? Where did you grow up? And, just a little more detail into that we don't know about you.
Yeah, it was a hot summer day in California in 1983.
Was not in California, was it?
It was in California. I was born in California.
Are you for real?
Yes. So I grew up in a military household. My dad was in the Army. And we traveled a lot. We lived, in multiple places, like for a couple of years at a time, each time. And it was a very fun childhood, but, it had absolutely its challenges. So I would say when I was about third grade, my parents divorced. And then that's when it started to get a little bit more challenging. I would say like the rug got, pulled from up under me. Like I was very much a spoiled kid, very much a middle child energy.
Okay.
So I'm the big sister and the little sister at the same time. It's 5 siblings that I have, 2 brothers and 2 sisters. And so...
Where do you live?
All over.
So
we lived in New York, we lived in Utah, California, and then, so it was about maybe like 8 or 9 years. And then that's when my parents split. So then my dad continued traveling with the military. And then we settled in Illinois. So
when you say third grade, that means nothing to me. So,
okay.
Like,
yeah.
We don't count.
How old was I in third grade? I think.
So that's what I wanted to ask. Like that's age of 9, 10, something
I think I was about, like 10. I can't remember how old I was in third grade, but I would say about that age.
What do you remember from the life before your parents divorcing?
I remembered a lot of outside playing, like my brothers teasing me a lot.
So mostly happy memories.
Yeah, happy memories, like playing with Barbies, skating a lot. I still very much have my same childhood energy at 40. Like I can still do all those things and be happy.
Good. Were you able to understand the divorce at that time?
It's crazy. I actually was pulled out of school to attend the divorce court case.
Oh.
And I should not have been there, but I don't even know why I was there. I think I asked because I hadn't seen my dad in some years, and I was like, well, I want to go see Pa. And that's what I call my dad. He's Puerto Rican, so we call him Pa or Papi. And I said, I want to go see Pa. So that may be a reason why I was taken out of school that day. But I just remember going to court and understanding what was going on, and then going back to school and just being so sad in class. I just remember that. And I remember my teacher, Mr. Abbott, that day, and he was, are you okay? Are you okay? And I'm like, yes, I'm okay. But it's so funny how there's so many memories that you just don't really think of until somebody pulls it out of you. So yeah, I wasn't even aware about that memory until now.
What was the court for? Was it just like to settle
Divorce
the divorce
court?
Or there was an issue in between then that they needed to settle? Do you know anything about it? Like,
I don't really remember per se, but I just remember it being like, I remember feeling the stress in the situation. Like, I'm such a sensitive person. Like, I can sense energy really easily and effortlessly. Like, so I just tried to hush and just be good. And I was just trying to see my dad because they were split for like a couple of years before it got final.
So you didn't see him in a while. That means that years you spent with your mom, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And then you see him after a while on the court, right? Like, did he not see you before that at all? Like, were you asking where he is? Like,
we talked on the phone a lot. So because of his career in the military, he would be gone and traveling a lot. And I remember there was like the opportunity to go to Germany. And that's when my mom and dad decided to like call it quits. So at that point, I always wonder what life would have been like if I would have gone to Germany and like, been a kid and raised in that type of environment. But I honestly, truly believe that everything happens for a reason as it's supposed to. So.
Absolutely. And then you're moving with your mom to Illinois, and who else?
It was just my mom, my two brothers, and my two sisters, and like it was clearly, once my parents separated, like there was a clear like shift in difference in like the stability of the home. Like my mom, I realize just how much I'm just like her, like in so many ways. And of course, so much just like my dad too, but she's very sensitive, very strong, but at the same time, that divorce, it broke her. Like it just, I could see her spirit breaking. I remember like her crying herself to sleep. Like we all slept in the same room at some point. Well, not all of us, my sister, myself, and my mom, when we went to Chicago after the divorce. And I just remember that. And I'm just like, wow, it's just so sad because there was no way that I could make the situation any better. That's all kids want to do is like, how can I fix it? Even though we don't know half of what's going on, in the background. But yeah, like overall, I had a very happy, loving childhood, but it ended up like with my mother and like the mental challenges that she had. We ended up being homeless a few times, multiple times, like getting evicted a lot. And I'm very sensitive about how that experience like impacted my life. But at the same time, I'm very grateful for the experience because I'm relentless with things. And I'm just like, everything will always work out. It will always work out. That's truly how I feel. Like no matter how bad the situation may seem, even if you feel like you have zero control over a situation, just ride it out. Just let it ride, and it will all end up working out.
I'm learning so much about that from you, and you have such a positive attitude towards any situation in life that stresses me out. You are the voice that tells me that everything will be all right. And I just adore positivity, but like I'm always wondering where that came from in life. And it seems like, as you said now, multiple evictions, it always ended up working out. But I want to know when that happens for the first time and you're just a child and somebody comes and be like, you have to leave the house. Like, what do you do? Do you say, Mommy, where are we going to sleep? Or what your thoughts as a kid are in that moment?
Well, in that moment, like I wasn't new to struggle at that time. Like I knew we were having some financial issues. Like we went the summer without having like electricity. Like we had to do our homework before the sun went down and things like that. But ultimately, like I remember going to school and thinking like, my mama gonna work it out. She gonna work it out. So I didn't tell anybody that we were going to be moving. And my mom, she was like, y'all, we got to sky up. That was her phrase. Like we got a sky up. So with that being said, I'm like, okay, so we're going to be moving. I came home from school that day. My mama had packed up the entire apartment, the entire 3-bedroom apartment. And I was like, oh, shoot, like I didn't get to say goodbye to any of my friends. And that was obviously it was like, it made me sad. But at the same time, I think being raised in the military household and having to move like consistently, and kids are just so resilient. So at some point, like I just assimilated into our new life when we left there and we went to go stay with my uncle and my uncle and my aunt on the south side of Chicago. Now, when I tell you that was a culture shock for your girl, I had been raised in like military, like, you know, setting, it was diverse, but at the same time, I still grew up super sheltered, like up until that point. So you throw this like prissy, spoiled little girl who's, you know, trying to find her way into the south side of Chicago. And I had to get it together real quick.
Oh, wow. So then when did you end up going to your mom's brother's house?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
And that was my first time meeting him. I didn't even know I had an Uncle Alex. I didn't even know. I was like, oh, I have an uncle. Okay.
Well, it's good that then he accepted all of you to be there. And then after that, like your mom would find a way, would get another apartment, and then eviction would happen again.
Yeah, basically.
So, like something like that, because he said multiple times.
Yes.
Do you remember any day in your life that like you really didn't have where to sleep at all? Like that you passed the night on the street or something like that?
On the street. I would say no, but I do remember we stayed at this motel and I always pass it up, Neman, on my way to Midway Airport. And I always kind of like say like a little prayer, like, oh, thank you, Lord, like that I've come so far. It's called the Saratoga. It's since been like revamped. It was like, you know, a little bit more like run down during that time. But every time I pass the Saratoga, it makes me think, because I remember, it reminds me of like a movie. My mom, and she was bringing all of us to school. So we went to school, you know, in that area near Midway. And the owners of the motel, they were chasing my mom down like, you owe us money. You owe us money. And I was like, oh my God. Like it was just, to me, now I look back and, you know, I think like, wow, that was like a movie scene. But at the same time, like it was a very crazy time. I remember having our groceries, like we just had like 2 bags of groceries. And mind you, we were in one motel room with 2 boys, and they were like teenagers, 2 girls. My older sister, she had gotten her own place, and my mom. So it's 5 of us in this motel room. And my mom was like, we got to keep these groceries cold. So it was 2 bags of groceries. She said, I'm just going to put them like right outside by the door. And then like she had finagled the plastic handles on the bags and she closed the door on that. Baby, when I tell you the next morning we woke up and somebody had stolen those 2 bags of groceries, my world was shattered. I was like, how can anybody steal groceries? Like at that point, I think I really saw how cruel the world can be. And I wasn't ready for it at that young age. But oh my gosh, and I just felt so like violated in that sense. Like these were the last bit of groceries.
That's the only thing.
That's the only thing we had. I remember it was like bologna and cheese and bread and milk and something else, and it was gone. And I was just like, we just went to school. So I just remember going to school and summer school to eat meals. Like, so you would get there early enough so you get your breakfast, and then I'm telling you, I had straight A's still. I wasn't playing about the books, honey. So I had straight A's, and people were like, why are you in summer school? And I was sitting on that bus going to summer school because there was nothing to eat at home. So
oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's That's incredible. There's very small details that I knew, but there is so much about you that I don't even know. And this is so amazing. And that's why I love so much talking to you, because it is such a great story. And like now as you're speaking, I'm like being in shock. I was like, wow. And that's my goal with this. It's to get people to know you, but also like you're so inspiring, right? Because like, look at you now. But we'll get to that. When do you remember the first time that like you were like, I need to make money?
Oh my gosh, I could tell you exactly when the first time. So I remember being 15 years old, and I heard that I could get a work permit and that I can go get a job. So outside of seeing everybody else, you know, people got on, you know, nice new clothes and everything, I'm wearing my brother's hand-me-downs. I remember I accidentally, like, we were washing our own clothes in the tub by hand. And I remember I accidentally spilled bleach on one of my 2 pairs of pants that I had. And then I had to get up in front of the school and do a presentation in front of the whole school, because I'm telling you, I still, like I said, I'm that straight A student, because so they picked me to represent the whole school. Meanwhile, I walk up and I had this big Clorox spot on my purple jeans. I remember this stuff like it was yesterday. So it was just so crazy that when I was 15, I'm like, I can give my mom some relief. I can buy some things for myself. I can hopefully have something to, like, you know, just be able to contribute something. And I remember my mom, she says, girl, you got all your life to work. No, no, I'm not gonna let you get a job. You got your whole life to work. Meanwhile, I start bawling, crying. That shows right there that I had no business in the workforce. Because if your mom says no, you start bawling, crying. But for me, it didn't mean like, no, you can't get a job. It just means like, no, you still have to like endure certain things and like go without for certain things. So time passes. At 16 years old, I got a job like by my 16th birthday at a little ice cream shop.
Well, yeah, I wanted to ask, what was the first job like?
It was really like easy, fun, close to the house. Like I learned, you know, how to count money there and work with people. And honestly,
what were you making, like $5 an
hour?
Oh
my gosh, it was $5 and some I remember it was like $5.25 as a starting pay. And I was like, okay.
You probably were like, oh my God, it's 16 years old.
You have no overhead. Like there was no cell phones, you know, not quite. But yeah, so I just, you know, decided to shop. I love fashion this whole time. Like my mom is a big fashion influence for me. So like, I just was craving to be able to like wear things that I loved and, you know, not wear my brother's hand-me-downs and things with Clorox spots on it. So,
and then like from that job, what did you do next?
What did I do next?
I have to tell you that like my first job in the United States was $9 an hour. And I was the happiest because like I couldn't believe, and I'm already like 24, 25 in that moment. So it's not like I'm very young. I mean, I know it's a young age, but not, it's like 15, 16, but $9 an hour, like you wouldn't understand my happiness. I would be calling my parents and be like, at the end of the day, because I would work really long hours, I'm like, I made over $100 today. And they were like, oh my God, good job. So I was like super excited about it. And then I know my weekly, because again, I wanted as many hours as possible, but it was not always available. So around the week, I was making like $270 a week. And like I planned that I could live off that. And it's just so wild that the things change so much now that I know that there's no possibility for any kid to be living with a $270 a week. But that's not that long ago. This what I'm talking about, it's 9 years ago. So it's just wild that 9 years ago with a $270 a week, I could make living.
Were you paying rent on that money?
I was sharing apartment.
I got you.
And like it's just paying for a room, maybe $500 for a room. So 2 weeks of work was enough to cover
Cover
the
that.
rent. And again, like I didn't have much of other utilities or anything like that. And then another 2 weeks was, and I also work in the restaurant when I did have meals. So like
There you go.
and honestly, I remember saving money up, and
Wow.
having to do more and stuff. Like remember bought my first Apple Watch from like the money that I saved from
Wow.
living $270 a week. So a lot has changed.
For sure.
Yeah. So what did you do after the ice cream shop? What was your next adventure?
So I felt like, my skills weren't being utilized.
Tell them they are the ice cream shop, like for not appreciating Tamika.
No, it's
Tell
so
them
funny.
now, boo.
A friend of mine, I saw that he was working at this drugstore, down the street from our high school. And I remember walking to the drugstore with him, and he was like, "I'm gonna get you a job, Tamika." I was like, "Okay, then." So we walked over, and sure enough, like I got a job right there. So it was a raise, and I got to work with my best friend. So like that was a win-win.
But you're such an entrepreneur now,
Yeah,
and
very
like a
much so.
businesswoman mind, and like always, like I'm gonna find my way to make my own money, and like I want my own business, I want my boutique, I wanna make living of the social media and all of the sorts of income that you have right now. When do you feel like that woke up in you? Because like seems as a child like you didn't have. First you had a lot, then you seemed lost it all.
Yeah.
Then now like you are figuring out like I want to build something for myself. Does that start way later in life, or you think even as a young kid you were imagining of like this is what I'm gonna do?
As a young kid, I always imagined just like walking into a building, like being dressed to the nines, like just being I always envisioned just being so stylish and professional. So I didn't necessarily think I would be an entrepreneur. I'm not even sure if I knew that was like an option. So I always knew like, you're going to college. I always knew that. Both of my parents had college degrees, so it just seemed like the right thing to do. So I went to college, got my degree, and that was around 2007 and 2008, and the economy was in the garbage can. So I could not find a job really to save my life that paid what a college graduate should be paid. When I tell you I was making the same amount that I had been making since before I got a degree, I felt so bamboozled. I was like, what is going on? This is not how I planned my young adulthood. So at that point I did get a job in HR, being like an HR assistant. And that is when so many of my friends and family, they were just like, you should really try to work in fashion. Like, you're fashionable. Everybody wants you to go shopping with them. And then I watched, what's that show? What Not to Wear.
I have no idea.
It's some years old, so it may have been on when you were here, when you first got here, but I'm not sure. But I was so enamored with that show and that process, taking people shopping, going in their closet, like getting rid of things that don't fit them. So I started doing that with like very close family friends and things like that, and they really loved like what I did with their wardrobe and everything. So I told myself, my then boyfriend, now husband, I said, baby, I want to be a wardrobe stylist. I want to be a personal shopper. And he was like, I don't know what that is, but I support you. So good. Yeah, like we had saved up some savings, and he was like, well, take some of that money out of there and like build out your website. So I would work my corporate job during the day, and then at night I would go home and work on my website and like go to networking events. And I would just like donate my time to style fashion shoots and like meet with people and do their closets. And then after that, I was let go from the job. They was like, we're ending the contract due to budget cuts.
What the job was?
It was HR. It was well, I don't really want to say the company, but
yeah, you don't have to. But no, what was your title? HR assistant or something?
It was HR assistant. Yeah, and I didn't like that title. I was like, can we say something different?
And
Human resources assistant.
Yeah, well, that sounds good. But have you studied that? Like what your college degree was?
So my college degree was actually in corporate communications with a focus on marketing and PR.
Oh, wow.
So I came out of college knowing how to write a press release.
Oh my God! I have a college in a PR too. I have like a master degree, but like I don't think I ever used it in my life. But in a way, I'm using it today. This talking with you.
Oh, you're absolutely using it, and I know I'm using, my teachings based off of like I've written so many press releases for my businesses and gotten on television for them. And I was like, look at that.
No, yeah, you get yourself on a television too. So
period.
I can see you, we're not sleeping at that college. And where that college was?
It was NIU.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, down the street, a couple hours away in DeKalb.
Oh, okay. Yeah, really good. I did not know you.
I didn't want to go away to school, and I'm so mad at myself that I didn't go to a HBCU. That is like, I would say one of my very few regrets in life that I did not go to a HBCU. I was like staying close to home. I was trying to stay close to family and things like that. So
I have no idea what that means, honestly.
A historical Black college or university.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I really wanted to do that. But
and where is that?
So they're all over the country,
but not in Chicago?
No, well, no, not like the true HBCU experience. Like you can go down to like, Florida or somewhere down south or Alabama. And I realized, I was like, man, if I was close with my family then on my mom's side, who's from Alabama, my auntie lives right across the street from A&M. It's a HBCU in Alabama. And I was like, oh, that's where I was supposed to go. But hey.
As you said, everything works the way
it works the way it's supposed to work. I wouldn't be sitting here right now.
That's true, and I'm very grateful you're sitting here today. So, oh my God, you're just waking up so many questions in me as you speak. Like I'm just so curious about a lot of things. Like you already mentioned your husband, so we are kind of closer to the life that you're living right now. But you also mentioned your mom so much, and she seems played such a huge role in your life and like shaped the way that you are. When did your mom start getting sick?
So it was something really hard to pinpoint because my mom, she had battled with some mental health issues. So we were thinking that maybe it was that, like, maybe it was, something about that. And then it started to all make sense and come together. So she had gotten diagnosed with dementia, maybe like it was before COVID. So what is that, like 6 or 7 years ago? And like, I know I was shocked and I didn't know exactly what the disease was exactly. It's like, you've heard of it, you've seen it on TV portrayed a certain type of way, that type of thing. So I decided to like really read up on it, learn what was going on, like feed her plants, feed her what I'm eating as best I can.
Can you tell us about dementia a little bit more?
Yeah, so for everybody, it can show up a little bit like different. Yes, but like with my mother, the way that she experienced it is she started to get like a loss for words. She started to forget people's names, who people were to her and things like that. And then I noticed that she would start to like recluse herself. And like, if we were around a big group or family, she would like go to another room, just needing to like collect herself or like get some time alone from all the stimuli and things like that. But it's so crazy because my mom's personality completely changed when she was diagnosed with dementia. Like now I see the progression and things like that, but her personality has completely changed. I remember seeing my mom be very much stressed, very much worried growing up, crying all the time, still being like fun and outgoing and everything like that at the same time. But now it's like all of the stress and all of the trauma has dissipated. She's happy all the time. And to me, like, of course, I'm going to always look at the blessing or positive in a situation. And to know that my mom is no longer like dealing with some demons that may, she has experienced in her life. and that she's happy. Like whenever I go visit her every day, just about. So she's in memory care right now. And she's always happy. She lights up when she sees me. I'm so grateful that she still, can see me and I'm familiar to her. And she's dancing all the time. And she's just like such a happy spirit. She's the mom I knew when, like before all the, bad
when
things.
You were a kid.
Yeah, because I know she experienced some crazy things growing up. So.
When was the first time that you're realizing that she did not recognize you?
So she started calling me mom. Mm-hmm. So during like the time when I was her full-time caregiver, my sister and I would split those, I hate to say duties because it's like really a privilege. Mm-hmm. So we split the privilege of caring for my mom, and like, it's so crazy how God works. So I would like go in her room and wake her up, and then she'd be like, "Hi, Mom." And I'm just like, so it makes me sad that she calls me mom, but in the same instance, it brings me joy to know that she feels loved and protected, because that's what a mom is. I was really trying not to cry today. It's always when I talk about my mom.
Ooh,
I got through the homeless stuff. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you see, I'm also extremely sensitive when
you are.
to mother, because like it's just the greatest love that there is out there, and so I absolutely feel you, and I understand. As you said, like you see positive in so many things, and I often ask you, hey, like because you do go a lot, right? That was
every
also
day.
a
I
really
was just with
hard
her.
decision for you, because
Yes.
she lived with you for so long, right?
Yeah, I had major guilt issues, like finally accepting help.
Yeah.
And
but you had her with you for so long, like you and your sister, but then majority of the time, then it was you, right?
no, we honestly, Tosh, my sister, she cared for her even longer. And it's just like, I became concerned for my mom's well-being. And I was just like, with safety, we have stairs. She started playing with the stove, and it was so crazy. Just like this that you see that I was crying in, she rolled it up like a cigarette, because she used to smoke cigarettes back in the day in her other life. And she took this little roll thing that she made into a cigarette, because she saw somebody outside smoking, which is so crazy to me. So she saw it, and then she mimicked it. So she took the little cigarette and she went down to the stove. She turned the stove on, and it's like click, 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 click. And I was like, what the heck? So I ran over to but she had already went down and started to light it. I remember my mom being my mom and would light cigarettes on the stove like that. But back in the day, it wasn't a thing. But for her to do that now, with this, it freaked me out, and I ran, and she did it a few times, and I was just like, okay, God, I think I do need to like just accept help. And I just had a conversation with God, and I was just like, okay, I think I'm ready now. And as soon as I said that I was ready, I swear it was like, it happened so fast, like a rock falling down a hill. It happened so fast. We got her into a place that I was comfortable with, that's close to my house, that the staff looks like her and they love her. They're like, we love Sadie. Sadie's the most fun one here, and she's always singing and she's always dancing. So it's kind of like she's hanging out with friends, because I just remember my mom like just always having a great time, when she was in that type of setting and dancing and everything. So it just really does warm my heart. So now I've fallen in love with the staff, and I bring them stuff and I have conversations with them. And of course I'm still seeing my mom and hanging out with my mom and doing that. But I'm just very grateful. Like I say it all the time, like I'm so grateful that that all worked out.
Yeah. And I know, because you always also return from those visits in a very positive spirit and just gets smile on your face and everything. So like, I think you feel so much better knowing that she's safe there. Cause like, as you know, you're great, but 24/7 that you needed to watch her. You even had a camera, right?
Oh yes. I had a camera in the room. I had a sensor. Like if she got out of the bed, like under the bed, it would be like ding dong. I would get up every night. Almost. It would be a shock to me if I could sleep through the night one night. But like I would do it all over again without hesitation, you know, if I had to. But to say that I'm not grateful for the help and the flexibility, that would not be honest. So yeah. And now when you see her, you said she recognizes you as a familiar face. Yeah, but you know what though? So last night I popped in on her, and I go all different times of the day, and I tucked her in bed, and I was like, "I love you, mommy," and she was like, "I love you. I love all my children." And that just warmed my heart so much, because I'm like, yay, she remembers that she's my mom now. So,
and that happened last night.
Yes.
Oh wow, that's beautiful. I'm really happy in a sense that you were able to get that help, because like I know it's so much, and as I said, even the cameras with the sensors and the stuff, it's a 24-hour thing, as they do have a 24-hour care at the place. There is, but it shifts different people and things like that. So I'm just very also relieved for you that you are now blessed to have an opportunity to provide something like that for her. I want to go also back. We already cried, and there's so much more to cover. Like I hope I'm not gonna make you cry again, but I think I'm good. But I do want to go back again as you growing up as a little girl, and I want to say as a black little girl in America that we live, that's pretty much white, and especially when you were growing up, like it's changing, but we still have such a long way to go. Like, how was that for you? When's the first time you're realizing, oh, I'm in a sense minority in this country, or I'm being treated differently because I'm minority in this country? Or like what was your thought process of that? And like, how did you get familiar with it? How did you understand it, right? Like, I'm just wondering if like, I grew up in Montenegro, where like in a sense, I was minority growing up as a gay, but like, that's a thing, like I wasn't able to say, to pronounce and stuff. This is something pretty, and I was able to hide, right? But like, you cannot hide that you're a black girl. So what your thoughts on that were, and like, just how growing up was like, what's the first time you were realizing, okay, I'm technically minority in this country, and how was affecting you? Because I know it did in some ways. Yeah, so I grew up identifying with my Puerto Rican side and my black side, and it was like, it's crazy because I think I always had, not always, but especially when we moved to Chicago, I kind of had like a little identity crisis, because this was the time where I had never been asked like, what are you? Why do you talk like that? Like things like that. So I I spoke real proper and things like that. And, my hair was really long, and I would ask my mom to straighten it and things like that. And I remember those types of instances. I think I probably blocked out racial things, like about, I know I experienced them, but I just really try to, I do have one instance, but it wasn't so much when I was a kid though. When I was a boutique owner, we'll get into this later, I'm sure. Sure, absolutely.
I'm still a boutique owner, but a storefront boutique owner. I just remember, first of all, I had a big afro. So I very much embrace, being black. So I had my big afro. You could see it a mile away. I'm telling you, honey. So this lady, I did have my boutique on the north side. It's not a black neighborhood. It's nothing like, it's very much, just pretty much a mostly white neighborhood. So I had my boutique in this little boutique neighborhood, and this one lady, she walked in, she looked at me, and she turned right around. Like, it was so obvious that she just looked at me and was like, not today. And I was like, go on, girl. I don't care. I don't want your raggedy money. I don't want you as a customer. So I think, honestly, like, I'm grateful that I did not have to grow up in a time where I had to like experience too much overt being the key word, racism and things like that. Like right now I'm reading a book that just talks about the Great Migration and things like that. And the stories in that book it just floors me. And it just is like, I cannot believe what our ancestors had to endure. So it's really mind boggling, but to be honest, it's just, oh my gosh, like, I get so mad. But see, again, I'm so sensitive. I have to be careful about what I watch, what I listen to, because I'm telling you, I will absorb it so quick. Watching the news when I was working out yesterday, and I start welling up, like tears start welling up in my eyes, and I'm on the treadmill. I'm like, get yourself together before they think you a nervous wreck up in here.
But you also want to learn, right? Like, I know it's like gets to be hard, but you also want to learn. It's a history, right?
Yeah.
So, and then when did you start it first? Like, what was your, like, I remember my first time like learning about the past event, right? And what you said, what your ancestors needed to go through. I was with my mom watching a movie. And it was
like,
a movie.
Why are they doing that?
And they're like, I don't know, they're driving on the separate part of the bus and stuff. And I remember asking my mom questions, and my mom not able to provide me with an answer. She's like, well, like, like, and she gets all confused, and I was like, I'm not understanding the movie. Like, as a kid, you don't understand everything evil in the world, right?
Yeah, the caste system isn't where you were.
And also, like, my mom not being able to explain to me and stuff. And she was like, well, like, she's like, back in time, like, they used to be slaves. And I was like, who? And she was like, black people. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, and I remember that shock of mine, because it's a young age, but like, it's one of my earliest, my earliest memories are kind of negative ones, because like, I remember.
Those are the ones you remember. Exactly. Isn't that crazy?
So I remember that. And then just like the shock, the trauma, that was like, oh my God. I was like, all the fear I felt as a white man having nothing to do with that. It's just so scary that it can happen to a human being. Yeah. And I got scared without technically being affected. It just affected my heart. And that's what I wanted to ask you, like, what was do you remember your first understanding of like, oh wow, if I lived, I don't know, 100, 200, 300 years ago, all through all those times, like my life would be so much different than it was today. When you're realizing
it definitely seriously started in my young adulthood. Like, I started reading about it, and obviously like watching documentaries and things like that. And of course, we've come some way, but there still is a lot of things that are, terrible. But I try to delve into it. Like, I try to delve into it, but I have to tread lightly again, because stuff is just heavy. And I just feel like we're in such a heavy like world and time. Like, you just have to really be careful about what you like consistently.
But when you learn all of those things, as I said, like, my reaction was like, Mom, why? Like, did you ask that? Why was this happening to us?
I'm sure I did, but I'm sure that's a memory that I have blocked out.
Yeah.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah, and I don't blame you.
Yeah, and my mom would tell me stories about things that would go on down south, and my mom picked cotton. Like, she was like her mother was a sharecropper. Like, she grew up having to pick cotton and not going to school more than half the time, which floors me. Like, my mom is still here, and that was her life. Like, she would say, like, I remember this story that she told me consistently. She said, I remember, picking cotton, and then we had these big bales of cotton, and these two white men walked up the cotton field and said to her mom, said, ma'am, your kids need to be in school. So at that point, my grandmother had 9 kids. My mama is one of 9. So all them kids was out there picking cotton, trying to get enough cotton to, survive, basically. And just the idea of that, like, that's the type of stuff that it really humbles me, because it makes me, and I'm not trying to be like the new phrase, like toxic positivity. I'm really not trying to be like that, but it's like, how can I wallow in whatever I'm experiencing or dealing with too long when that's the type of life, that my mom still in this world had to experience. So, but she like persevered, and she was the only one of 9. Like, she telling me my mama was a jet setter. So she would get on a plane. She got a corporate job. That's when she met my dad, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
It's a little word crazy that it was happening not so long ago. But also what gives me positivity in that, it's showing in how short amount of time, like, I don't know, 60, 70 years, it's like, it's not so short, but again, so much can change. And I'm really looking forward to the next 60, 70 years.
We're going to be robots.
Where I'm looking forward to it, where I just like hope for a better world, right? Because as we said, we're still not there. We're not even there with a woman right yet. Yeah. But I just love how much it's moving forward, and I just looking forward to the better world where everyone has the rights and the freedom, and you know what, including the animals.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the last step, because I had a conversation with my friend. She was like, listen, while this woman in Saudi Arabia still don't have rights and things, I don't think animals are going to come to the agenda. And I said, listen, so much can change. And I 1000% believe in that in the future. But I before I had this thinking that I'm not going to be alive to see it. But now that I really deeply think about it and see what you just told me, like, this is what happening 30, 40, 50 years ago. Yeah. And so much has changed. Like, I really feel that I might be alive to see the future that I so badly desire.
Yes. It's going to be leaps and bounds, I'm sure, especially with the veganism. Yeah, I'm excited to see what the future holds too.
Absolutely. But let's go to the past again. You ready?
Oh, Lord.
I want to know, is there any time in life that you lived alone?
Yes. I had an apartment in Hyde Park. I struggled, honey. It was after I graduated college. I got my little low paying job. I drove my beater car, honey. And this was before, like, Hyde Park was still like the place to be, in my opinion, then. But this was before, like, they really did like a lot of additions to it. Like, there wasn't a Whole Foods. There wasn't,
I think it's now a place to be. I love it there.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely the spot. But even then it was the spot. It's so historical. And I I had a view of the lake. I could like go, walk a half a block and I'm on the lakefront and things like that. So I did have my own place, but that's when I had met my husband.
Okay, so that's the last time you lived alone before?
That was the last time I lived alone.
Okay, so how did you meet your then boyfriend or your date in that moment?
Yeah, so I liked to go hang out at the little clubs and stuff. I was only in my 20s then. So a college girlfriend of mine, she was taking too long to get ready. And I was like ready. And somebody invited me to like a little house party get together. So I was like, girl, I'm going to go over to this little house party. Just let me know when you're done getting ready, girl. So I go over there, and then Anthony walks through the door. My husband.
Okay.
Now, I didn't know, obviously, it wasn't like immediate sparks, like, oh my God, but I was aware.
Okay.
I was aware what was going on.
Okay.
And then, like, as the night kept going on, I don't know where my friend was at this point. I don't know where she was. So she eventually came over to the house party. By that time, Anthony and I had like conversed a little bit. He seemed like very buttoned up, like, I'm not here to flirt or what. He was like, I was there to talk business. And then here you come walking up. So I just was like trying to like just have I'm just social. So at that point, I wasn't trying to find me a husband, a flirt.
He's married.
No, none of that. None of that. I just was hanging out, it was a intimate, like, little get together. And then by the end of the night, we had went to this little hole in the wall spa. We had some, adult beverages. We were dancing, we were stepping, we were doing the Chicago thing. We was having a good old time. And I got his number at the end of the night, and he got my number. And then the history is,
Tell me about that history. What the first date looks like? Where do you guys go? What do you do?
Our first date, we went out to eat, of course. We went to sushi, and I was so happy that he ate sushi. Because a lot of I during this time, I had like met like a lot of men that was like, I don't really do that. Like, I don't really eat sushi. But so that was a one winner for me. I was like, oh, he eats sushi. Okay. So I learned a little bit more about him. He's a father and things like that. So of course, me being in my early 20s.
Well, yeah, was that a shocker? I was like, no,
it wasn't a shocker. No, it absolutely wasn't a shocker because, he's 7 years older than me. So that's like, you kind of expect that at that point. But yeah, the kids were they were great. Like it was no terrors or no craziness. Like they were so sweet. And then like I had just like
how many kids he had?
Three.
And they were all very young at that time,
pretty
right?
much.
Yeah, I just recently met AJ, right? And he's like now 17,
yes.
Right? So that means he was
when
5?
when I met my husband, AJ he had just turned 1.
Oh wow, so you met your husband 16 years ago?
Yes, isn't that crazy?
Oh my goodness.
We've been together a long time.
Oh,
it's
wow.
crazy.
And how long have you been dating before getting married?
We dated for we needed time because we had just both like gotten out of relationships too. So I think that was very good that we waited. I would say about 4 years.
Okay. So now in this point, you're married 11, 12 years, something like that?
What now?
Yeah.
No, like 15 years or coming up. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Coming up.
Yeah,
but
that's a really long time.
I know. It's
That's
just
beautiful.
so crazy to me. Yeah.
And then, how was it like you? Okay, well, the AJ was 1 year old. So like, he probably growing up just knows, that he doesn't call you stepmom, right? Or
well, it like in a setting, in a setting where that's appropriate. But yeah, the kids call me Rhea. My middle name is Maria. Yeah. Y'all got my whole government name.
Like, we got a government name from plant-based Tamika Maria Price. Okay, love it.
There you go, honey.
Love it. Is that Maria from the Puerto Rican side of you? I love it.
Yes,
love
my abuela was named Maria. So my dad was like, I'm going to name you after your abuela. I was like, okay,
abuela. Oh. Beautiful. Okay, so what you were gonna say about the kids? Sorry, they call you Ria, right?
Yes.
Oh, I love that.
No rolling of the R's. It's just Ria.
Oh, okay.
But I love that. Hey, I love that though.
Okay. Yes. Perfect. And then, as I said, like you have a great relationship with them till this day, right?
Yeah, I love them kids.
I just you and AJ were coming to Kill My Name. Or some nachos with the guacamole.
Yeah,
and the
you saw his eyes got big. He was like, what?
And people were like, what is this? Like, how can we order this? I was like, it's nothing special. Just add guac.
Oh, it's something special. All right.
I mean, what people felt like that, I made something for you that I'm not going to provide for anybody else.
Okay,
right?
okay.
Which I
it's
would
not
do.
Exclusive.
Which I would do. You are exclusive to me. And you are, at a Kill My Name. How my employees love you and everything.
I love them too.
You absolutely are. But in that sense, like, people were thinking like, oh, never mind, we can never get this because we are not plant-based Tamika.
Add seitan, add guac, and voila.
And you get those nachos from that video that, people just loved so much. And it was just lovely meeting him. And then we played a little chess.
That was so cool. I love that y'all played chess.
He's so good.
Like
for
he
his
is good.
age, like that's like, I really It's not because I play, but I really think it takes intelligence to be good at a chess, and just like it's strategic thinking as
Very
well.
much
It's just
so.
how he had a strategy. Luckily, I was able to see what his strategies were, but he was really, really good, and that was just absolutely lovely. Okay, what I wanted also to say. So yeah, you get married to your husband and you moved from that to living alone, right? That was the very last time.
Yep.
After that, you've been always living with your hubby, right?
Yep.
And how many times have you guys moved?
Well, so, okay. We have moved twice since then.
Oh wow. Okay, so
Yeah.
it's not a lot of time.
No, not too long, but yeah, it still seemed like fast when we moved. Like, oh wow, we're moving. Oh, okay. But yeah.
But it felt like you are kind of in your dream house right now.
I really am. Yeah, it's very much a blessing for sure. And I'm telling you, every time I wake up and I see these like high windows and all this natural light and like very beautiful, like, grounds and things like that. And it's just like, it's so crazy, how far you can come in life, how far God will bring you from like literally living on the streets, being in a motel and things like that. And now I swear though, when we first moved into that house, I was like, somebody gonna come and say y'all need to move out of my house and this deal fell through. That's trauma speaking. That was my trauma speaking, being evicted so many times. And crazy, I'm just processing that. Like, because you just, sometimes things feel too good to be true, but they can actually be just a blessing. So.
Yeah. And that's literally, I love what you just said, how far you can come from the moment of where you're literally homeless and going from your uncle's house to somebody else's house, from
to
like
the Salvation
to
Army, all different stuff.
To now, having that dream house with, that beautiful backyard and the pool and like all of those things, and you just deserve it. And I think, is that why you feel that everything will always work out? Like,
honestly, I felt like that before, and I had to tell my husband, like, before that blessing happened, I had to tell him, babe, I don't know if you know this, but we're going to be rich. Like, we're already rich in what matters the most.
Yes.
But I just know, like, with my mindset, my gifts, all the things, I just keep feeling that. And he kind of like, he didn't reject the idea, but he was just like, okay. And now he's like, I absolutely feel it too. Like, so he's very much of an entrepreneur too. And he's so smart. So I know it's going to happen, like, in terms of like getting our mind blown.
It's so good that he's on board. And I'm going to tell you that from my experience, I was ashamed to say that I do want to be rich in life.
Oh, like, that's a shame. Like, you should not be.
I was.
Wow.
First, I didn't want to. Then when I realized that I want to, I was convincing myself that it's not true. And then when I finally made myself in my inner peace, in my mind, I do want to be rich. Like, I was ashamed to say it out loud, right? It took me a while before I was like, nope, like, I deserve all of these lovely things, because I always try to like just be very grateful for everything that I already have, right? So that's why I felt like if I'm wanting for more, that I'm being ungrateful, but both can be true at the same time. Like, I'm extremely grateful for everything that I have, but I just think I deserved it, and I just think I deserve even more. And
can I tell you something? Yes. I'm going to tell you that it is going to happen for you, absolutely. And I have to tell you that you are so generous. I see it constantly. Like, I see it constantly. And I've only known you real well, a short time, but it's just like, wow. You're very, very generous. And I just want to put that on camera and let everybody know that he's just a generous person. And I know that has to do with you experiencing things in life. And I'm sure it has to do with working in service industry too. Like you're very respectful of people in service, and I love that. And you just, it's just really, really beautiful to see. And those are the types of people that money is attracted to and that God blesses. So it's coming. I always tell you, just get ready.
Yeah. Okay. You see, like I feel ready. I feel ready. How do you feel ready about the Kill My Name juice? Should we try a little bit?
Why not?
It is a new thing, fairly new. It's kale, apple, pineapple, and ginger.
Oh, dang. My press-on nails is
I've been loving. Fly. Okay, you grab this one. You grab that one. It's like
I love pineapple in my juice.
Safety and everything.
Thank you.
But yeah, it's been like I really wanted something like super healthy and like it's clean ingredients. Like a lot of juices are like sugars and stuff. And okay, I was gonna go for cheers, but
lo siento. Let's cheers.
I could feel the ginger and I love it. I've been obsessed with ginger. I do those ginger chews as well, like nonstop. It's good for health. So
I just always juice a big nub of ginger. I love it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Ready for a little game?
Yes. I told you I'm a big kid. Let's play.
Okay. So I wanted us to have fun. So you're going to grab if you can, that one over there. Okay.
Yes.
And you can just open it. Okay. So let me tell you first what it is. Okay. So when I got those jars, they were called stockable jars because they can go one onto another. But I decided to change the name and now it's called a stereotype jar. Okay? Because inside there is some questions that they are stereotypical. Okay? For certain group of people. Okay? Once we open those and ask each other, we're just gonna pick one and ask each other a question. We have right to disagree if that's true or not.
You're going to get me canceled on this interwebs, on Beyonce's internet.
Getting canceled on a podcast? Yes, I'm going to cancel myself. The first episode of podcast is like, the Extraordinary with Neman has been canceled. Because it's a very stereotypical thing for the certain group of people. And as I said, you have right to agree or disagree. And then you can provide a little bit more. Why is that stereotypical? Okay, so I believe you have a question for me. So go ahead. Okay, you picked. Okay, I don't know what it's going to be.
I'm scared for you. Oh my gosh.
And
I already know the answer because you told me. Why do gay people prefer iced coffee over hot coffee? Oh my Lord.
So I'm going to have to agree with that stereotype. Gay people, I myself, I could never go. Well, first I have to share something teeny tiny sad with you. I no longer drink coffee.
Yes. I remember you telling me.
It's been over a month now, maybe even closer to 2 months, and it's just been great. And then never mind, but do you remember in Atlanta when you...
I remember! I was like, I'm going to get up and I'm going to surprise my friend with a cup of coffee.
Yes.
Look, I still drink my caffeine. I still need my caffeine. So I went and my butt forgot that fast that I have never seen you drink hot coffee. But in the morning, I love hot coffee. So I was like, I'll take 2, whatever I ordered. And then I was so proud knocking on your hotel door. I was like, here, I brought your coffee. And you were like, here you go. Look, here you go. Thanks. I was like, okay. In real life, you were so slick. I didn't even realize until you just set it down and never went back to it. And then you were like, oh, yeah, I liked iced coffee. You said it in some casual. I was like, oh, my God, I felt so bad.
We had a coffee day before that at the airport.
I just figured you just wanted iced at that point in time. I didn't realize that you don't rock with hot coffee.
I already did a video about this, but there is that famous meme that said hot coffee is better than iced, said no gay ever.
That is hilarious.
And there was another content creator that made hilarious video about it. And he was like, this is a science. Like the gays, they want a caffeine to go into blood immediately. And it's going to go so much faster if it's cold, right? Because like with a hot coffee,
you do have to be like, you have to be a little bit patient with the hot coffee. Yeah.
So I feel, and I already posted this on videos. I think we're not going to get canceled because a lot.
No, I don't think you'll get canceled for that one.
I was like, let's see for the next one, right?
Oh Lord, my heart just dropped. Lord, what you gonna ask me?
So, because people agreed with me. And you see, we gave an explanation. Yes, it is true. And it is because gays want just, energy faster, the caffeine to get into blood. I picked one. I'm going to go ahead and ask you a question. I love this one. Okay. And it's also from my personal experience. I'm going to have to explain that too. Okay. When the long time passes by, why do Black people say it's been a minute?
Oh, it's just one of our colloquialisms. I don't know why we say it, but
do you want to tell you why I'm asking this question?
Well, listen, I'm playing because that's another one.
No. Oh, listen. Okay, listen. No, I sometimes still 9 years later get confused with English in general and with expressions and stuff like that. And I've been asking some things like, do you want to go to Cal My Name, for example? And then it would say like, oh, it's been a minute since I last.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you're just coming out of it? Like, I was so confused.
It's been a minute.
And that doesn't mean it's been a minute. That means it's been... It could be
it's a long time. A minute means a long time.
But it could be 3 days. It could be 3 years.
It's probably closer to the years.
3 years.
Yeah, 3 days doesn't equate a minute.
Okay, well,
at least I would say at least a few months is a minute. Okay. At least in yeah.
Okay, that's a minute. Okay,
I ain't been in a minute.
I need to learn that and say, because like I know when it says like, oh, it took me a minute, that's what I understand.
That's a different.
Normally it takes a second, but to me it took a minute. That means like I've been moving a little bit slower, but it says like, oh, it's been a minute. And I'm like, oh, you just went out of it? And they're like, no, we haven't been for months.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's going to be like impossible to learn, to keep up with all the lingo.
Yes, no, but I'm telling you, 9 years later, still learning English. But even when you learn English and you think like, oh, I know this, then something like it's been a minute pops up and that just leave me all confused.
You're like,
and
oh, dang. Like, yeah. And then you'll text me certain questions like, what does this mean?
Absolutely.
Like, oh, I got you.
Thank you. And that's so great to have you as a friend. Would you please be kind? Is there anything that I didn't ask you that you would love to share?
Not that I can think of. Thank you for inviting me. I really did enjoy this conversation.
Same. Thank you so much for coming. And as I said, when I was thinking about all of this, like I really wanted to create a space for people who really have a story. Yours, it's so inspiring, and I just love sharing that, and I really hope people leave with some message from this, because like I think people can learn a lot, and that's why I'm so glad. Would you please answer then my last question, that it's going to be mostly for all of my guests, and have you ever in life been called extra or too much?
Very much so.
Yeah.
I'm extra, yes.
Oh, okay. And you see, it was bothering me when people were like, oh, or like when people will say, you're so much drama. And I'm thinking like, what did I even do? So you're cool. You seems to embrace it. You're like, oh, I'm extra. That says a lot. Sometimes the silence says a lot.
I'm not trying to be basic. I'm premium. I'm extra.
Are we extra? or you are basic.
Look, what that shirt say? What that shirt say that you got?
That's,
Go find less, honey.
Exactly. If I'm too much, go find less. And that's pretty much how I finished the podcast. And I just really hope this is going to be motivational for a lot of people, but for people who want to connect with you after this podcast, where they can find you.
Connect with me.
Yes.
I will just say go to my website, because all my socials are at the top right corner of my website. Plant-based Tamika. I'll spell my government name for you. TAMIKA. Plantbasedtamika.com. That's
pretty much easy. So I just recently was on your website, and it just looks so beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
You did a really good job. And in the preparation for this, I was like, okay, let me see if there is something new on the website that maybe I wanted to talk. But again, we will leave the whole veganism story for some other time. My goal was to get to know you like people don't know you like this before. And I think we accomplished that very well. Oh, thank you so much for being here today. Everyone watching us, thank you so much for tuning in. I know that there's a lot to take away from this episode, and I just cannot wait already to see you the next time with my other very lovely and inspiring guest. And thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you all soon. Sending lots of kisses, lots of love. Enjoy the rest of your day. And remember, if somebody tells you they're too much, you'll tell them to go and find less.